Today we are going to be doing a closet review for I Shop Home. This is for Jennifer. So first things first, if you guys have not watched any of our closet review videos or haven't seen one in a while, welcome. We're glad to have you. This just shows you a little bit about how are the things we look for during closet reviews. We're going to go through this pretty fast, but as always, you could always send follow-up questions if you have any questions. You'll notice me referencing this page quite a few times up here. This is just a page of my notes. It gives me a chance to write down any questions. This will also get sent over with Jennifer's closet review. So she'll get this video, but she'll also have a page in my notes, and she'll also have the ability to send me any questions she has about any of my notes. So without further ado, we are going to jump right in. So the first thing I always like to go over is the general view of the page. I like this little page you have here, this little icon. I like that you've got clothing in the background. I like that on your Meet the Posher page, you've got this little blurb about yourself, how you started selling, why you started selling. I like that you offer discounts, bundle discounts. That's definitely going to help get people into your store as well. Definitely makes it worthwhile. General, just looking through your photos, everything looks pretty nice, pretty neat, and pretty well organized. Beyond that, one thing I like to look at is just photos. So the first thing I do when I look at photos is I just scroll through the first page. Does everything look uniform? Everything look easy to view? Coloring, does it look good? And it does. You check all of those boxes. Then I like to go into each individual item. I always pick a couple and just kind of flip through the items. So you've got a front, you've got a back, you've got some close-ups which help. You've also got some measurements, which I'm a huge fan of measurements in listings because I think that it really tells your buyer what they're buying and gives them confidence. You've got a photo of this flaw. Again, what more could they really ask for? Same thing goes with this. With this one specifically, I love that you included the measurement chart in here as well, because a lot of people who may or may not have purchased Talbots will like having that size guide in there. It can be kind of confusing for some people, so I like that you included it. And then same thing with this Ralph Lauren. I liked at the very end you put offers are welcome, and that you included photos of the buttons, letting them know that there are some additional buttons with this item. Overall though, photos look pretty good. One thing I noticed was that you had some stock photos. That can become a copyright issue. Posh is not as formal about it as what eBay is. eBay can actually remove your listings for that. However, Poshmark honestly doesn't really seem to care. I always discourage people from doing it because technically it is against the policies, but ultimately it's your store. You do what you see fit. The next thing I like to look into are titles. So generally they looked pretty good. You look like you used most of the information, most of the characters that you could, and that you were using useful information. Sometimes when I do closet reviews, I find random words that are put in there that make no sense, and I didn't see that for yours. So great job. I did notice that you might be able to get rid of some extra characters for things like apostrophes, things like slashes, so on and so forth, but for the most part, not a huge deal. These here, you'll see that these are your titles, the bigger ones are, and then the ones below are what I would have put. For this Duluth Trading Co. men's heavyweight fire hose relaxed fit 5-pocket pants, you had 77 characters. I would have used Duluth, taken out this Trading Co. Men's, also taking out the apostrophe, heavyweight fire hose relaxed fit pants, size 28, 32, khaki, and straight leg. Gives them a little bit more of an idea. Men will typically search for tapered leg, straight leg before they're going to search for 5-pocket. For the Chico's Travelers Collection women's no tummy pants, red, again, I would have taken out the collection, taken out all the apostrophes, extra slashes that weren't needed, etc. And I would have put Chico's Travelers women's pull-on slinky pants, size 1T US 8/10 tall, red, and high rise. Again, I don't know that anybody would necessarily search collection per se, and these pants are 100% more sellable if you use the word slinky in them. That's like one of the most sellable factors of them, so I definitely would include that. And then this vintage Ralph Lauren women's button-down shirt, embroidered crest logo, size 8. I would have put vintage Ralph Lauren women's chambray button shirt, size 8, blue, embroidered, and logo. And that should just streamline it a little bit more, get rid of some extra things that you don't need, but essentially convey most of the same information, except maybe a couple other things that might help. The biggest thing moving from there was listing details. I can 100% say on record, because guess what? This is going out to all of YouTube, that you have hands down some of the best descriptions I've ever seen when it comes to doing closet reviews. I might even go out on a limb to say the best I've ever reviewed. I'm sure there's going to be some ladies I've reviewed closets for before that are going to be like, are you kidding? But these were fire. I wish I could just input fire emoji. I might before I send this to you. But the listings were really great. The only thing I noticed you might be able to work on a little bit were these style tags that you used. So for instance, you had these Chico Slinkies pants. You put things like kind of all over the place. Just you've got cottage core. I wouldn't really call this cottage core. You've got granny core. Coastal grandma. Yeah, maybe an older, mature woman would wear these, but I don't know that I would list it as a granny core. When I think of granny core, I think of like a grandma sweater or like a crochet sweater. You could put something more like mature instead. I also don't know that I would include them as like eclectic, like they're just plain red pants. So there's a few things in here that I think we could probably get away from. I also wouldn't list them as something that's like timeless and classic and elegant, but then also list them as loungewear. So I think sometimes you might be overdoing style tags and just clicking like everything that you feel like is relatable, but in all actuality, like you want to use the style profile words that are going to target the right audience. And I think you're kind of targeting every audience rather than one. Same thing goes with this Ralph Lauren. Preppy, for sure. Prep school, yeah. Collegiate, academia, modest, retro, sure. Granny core, no. Coastal grandma, nah. Vintage, absolutely. Y2K, yes. Timeless, yes. Classic, yes. Trendy, absolutely. There's just some other things on here that, again, I think we're throwing too many things into the same bunch. We could narrow down. But again, that's me being like super harsh because your descriptions are fire. So I know that was one thing that you originally put on the list of things you wanted us to go over with you that I wanted to make sure I noted on. So buyer sell-through ability. So Duluth, there were 40 available, used available, and only 19 had sold. That's an item I probably wouldn't have picked up. Chico's, there were 276 available, but only 180 sold. Probably, again, something I wouldn't pick up, just based on sizing. I know the larger sizes do pretty well. Smaller sizes apparently do not. And then the Ralph Lauren top, I did not evaluate sizing on, and here's why. So looking at this top, it is vintage. It is listed as a size 8, which makes you think women's, but the buttons are actually on the men's side. So I really wanted you to look at this and kind of evaluate size. You obviously have this in hand and you know more of what it looks like size-wise. But I would make sure that this isn't a boy's shirt as well. As long as it's like adult size, then for sure I would still list it as women's. But I didn't want to comp it and give you kind of false information by evaluating that on sizing. But generally, probably still a pretty good pickup. I would probably have picked it up. Overall percentage, you had 332 items that were listed in the last 90 days. Out of those, you sold 154. If you divide that between the 3 months, so down to 30 days, you would have sold 51 items in 30 days on average. I think when I actually counted it up, there were like 30. So it sounds like you had a couple months that maybe were a little bit bigger than this past month. But again, on average, 51. If you calculate that out, you get 15%. The goal is to have at least 10% of your items selling, and you had that. So I think generally your store is performing pretty well, especially since you're also selling on Mercari as well. As far as pricing goes, Duluth, you priced at $40. I would have priced at $25. Chico's, you had priced at $35. I would have marked at $25. And then the Ralph Lauren, you had priced at $35. I probably would have priced closer to $40, just based on it being vintage and exactly what it is, unless we have the gender wrong. Then we would need to negotiate. As far as your love notes, everything I read was that the item was what it was described of. It was really pretty. You were great to work with. You were fast at shipping. It seems like you have a lot of people who really like your items, which obviously always helps. They're going to be more likely to follow you if that's all going well. My takeaways for you were to focus on great items, really focus on sell-through rate, work on keywords, make sure that if you're going to use those style tags, you're using only the relevant ones. But other than that, I think your store was really well. I think it looks good. The biggest thing would just be making sure that you're getting items that do have a good sell-through rate if you're intending on a quick turnaround for those items. That's it for today. I want to thank Jennifer for giving us a chance to review her I Shop at Home closet. and giving us the opportunity to kind of share this with you guys as well. If you guys would like to buy a closet review, they are available. Feel free to follow the links below to be able to get to those. We generally have a pretty quick turnaround, although I will admit with Jennifer we did not, because I did not see it come in. So thanks for your patience, Jennifer. We really appreciate you, and feel free to reach out if you have any questions, concerns, complaints, or outrages. Until next time, we'll see y'all soon.